Welcome to From a Woman to a Leader, a podcast dedicated to discussing the challenges and providing tips for women in tech leadership. Hi, I'm your host, Limor Bergman-Gross, and in each episode, we'll hear from other successful women in tech, sharing their stories, insights, and advice. Join us as we empower each other to reach our full potential in the tech industry. Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of From a Woman to a Leader, where we help women in tech get to the next level in their careers. And I'm so excited to have here with me Ronit Boher Hillel, who I had a pleasure to meet on a mentorship program that I created for Power to Fly. And she was, and maybe still is, I think you're still is, right? One of the mentors there.
I'm still one of the mentors there, and I've taken this to more adventures further than that. I've been coaching as well.
Wow, that's wonderful. Yeah, and I'm following Ronit obviously on LinkedIn, and I saw your post about goal setting, and I figured that is probably a great topic to talk about because we always need to set goals, and this is so important, and not everyone knows why it's important, and that's kind of what we're going to talk about today. So, Ronit, maybe let's start by kind of sharing a little bit about your background.
Happy to. So I've been an engineering leader for many, many years, more than 20 years. And through that path, you go through different parts of your career. In the last couple of years, I've been a VP of engineering in Smartsheet. And then lately I decided that what I really want to do is become a leader, an engineering leader in a startup. So that's what I'm pursuing today. And that's my goal. I've been fortunate to be part of companies like Amazon and drive areas in Alexa. And I've been fortunate to be part of 3 different startups in my life, as well as Telecom industry. So a variety of experiences along my career that brought me to learn a lot. Understand that in our field, in the high tech, in software engineering, nothing stays still. And if you are standing in place, it means that you're going backward. So
Absolutely.
This is kind of what drives me forward.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you said, we don't stay still. And also our interest changes, right? I mean, you mentioned like you worked in Amazon, you worked in large companies, and now you want to work in a startup. So also we evolve and we change, and what we want to do and focus is changing. Like you mentioned, your coaching today, which is wonderful. Yeah. And kind of transitioning into the topic of goal setting, why is it important even to set goals?
So whenever we think about what we want to do, if we want to put something in front of us, most of us will just, this is the thing that I want to do, but it's there. I have no idea how I'm going to get there. And it kind of accompanies us, but it doesn't drive us to get there. Goals is the first step you do in order to drive yourself to get to the direction, to the things you inspire to do. And it's just the beginning. It's just putting an anchor that will get you and drive you forward.
Absolutely, yeah. Because if you don't know where you're going to, not necessarily you'll get where you want to.
Yeah. It's interesting, like a lot of time we think about the fact that we want to know where we want to go. And so that then we set a goal. But then the second part after setting a goal is actually thinking, why am I setting that goal? What would happen when I reach that goal? And I do one of the exercises that I do is not just encourage you to set the goal, but actually imagine what would be the situation. How would you be when you set that goal? And talk about it in a present mode. There is a joke about two chickens that want to run free. So they break free out of their cage and they run into the desert, and the other chicken tell their friend, okay, what are we going to do now, right? We are in this desert and we have nowhere to go, right? So it's really important to imagine yourself reaching the goal, and what would your life mean when you're there.
I cannot agree more with you. I mean, I love to kind of do different exercises It's kind of like meditation in a way, like thinking of and picturing yourself, right? How you're going to be. And this is very powerful. I mean, I learned at least that this is very powerful to be able to imagine how your life is going to be when you get there. Because when you imagine things, when you see it in your imagination, it becomes more real. It kind of sounds strange sometimes, but it is true.
It forces you to really immerse yourself in that moment. Talking about it in the present, one of the exercises I've been doing with my leaders and also with my kids, by the way, it's a fun exercise. We do that, at the beginning of the year, New Year Eve, or like January, and we write that. How are we what our life gonna be in a year from now? And we write that all in present tense, and all the things we want to reach, all the goals we want to accomplish, all our desires through the year. We close it, we put it in an envelope, and we open that a year forward. And that present tense actually allow us to validate, do we really want to do things, or is it just a fantasy, right? It's like, okay, I really want to go to the North Pole, but it's just a fantasy. It's not really what I want to accomplish this year. And I wouldn't necessarily feel better if I'll get there. So that present tense allow me to do that check of things. Is it really something I want to get?
Yeah, absolutely. I really believe in using the present tense. And also, one of the things that I do when I coach women and they say, oh, I want to do this, I want to do this. Sometimes I ask them an annoying question. I ask them, are you willing to pay the price, or are you willing to make the effort? Because a lot of times we say, oh, we want this. We want to get to the North Pole, but we're not willing to either pay the money or take the vacation or, to do whatever planning that is needed because it's not that important to us.
Exactly. And North Pole is a fun example because getting there is like extreme conditions, right? A lot of time, those goals we are putting will require to make a significant effort, get ourselves outside of those comfort zones we're so used to, and invest time that we might be using for other things. So it's really important to do that.
Absolutely. So what kind of tips will you give to someone who wants to set goals but have no idea how to set a good goal?
Yeah. So first, let's say you know what you want and you projected yourself to the future and you're absolutely sure you want to accomplish that. And let's say that your goal is, for example, become a CTO of a company. I'll use mine kind of as a goal. And the first thing you want to do is to start understand, where are you now? What is your current place? What do you have? And I usually say, we had a long experience, and with that experience, we acquired tools, we acquired successes, we have all of that. So let's evaluate, what are you bringing with you? Then evaluate, what are you not having in order to reach that place? So what are you missing, whether it's tools or knowledge or experience or connection, whatever that part is. And after you understand what you have in your toolkit and what you are missing from your toolkit, it's time to start putting, I call it the yellow brick road from Dorothy, because it's that every brick in the way is a step forward that you'll need to make in order to reach that goal. And a goal seems scary. A lot of time it's audacious and big. So, kind of doing this quantum leap from present to future is very long and very, it could be scary, right? It
can be scary, yeah.
Scary. But if you start thinking about those bricks in the way, each brick you can put small step forward. And you then ask yourself, like, what is the first step I need to do in order to reach that? And you define a SMART goal. So something that is measurable and well-defined in time and achievable, something that you can really reach, not some abstract kind of, I want to be able to contact 3 search firms in the next 2 weeks, for example. Or and when I define that, it's clear what I need to do. It's time bound, so it's limited in that perspective, and it's reachable. I can actually get and do that. And it's really critical. And after you accomplish that first step, your first brick, go and define your next one and start mapping your path forward. You'll see along the way that you want to revise and rethink and do kind of a retrospective for those who work agile. Do a retrospective. Do I really still want to reach that goal? Is that the same flavor as I defined it when I started that voyage? Should I change it a bit, right? So it's good to make those assessments along the way and then set the next step on your path.
I really loved your analogy of the yellow brick road. I think I'm going to use it. I hope it's okay to borrow that from you.
Dorothy marked that first.
Yeah. Yeah, so basically breaking things to some small, actionable, tangible steps along the way, not something super intimidating. I wanted to ask you, you mentioned like your personal goal about becoming a CTO. What if I have a goal, but I don't really know, I have no clue what I need to do, how to get there? Let's say I decided I want to become a CTO. I just picked that as an example. It can be something else. And I have absolutely no idea. I know that I want it, but I have no idea. I'm overwhelmed. I have no idea what I need to do.
Yeah, it happens sometimes. So if you start in the beginning and you say, here is what I have in my toolkit, and this is what I don't have in my toolkit, those questions would rise up, right? What you're saying, I don't know how and accomplish that. I don't know what does it mean to accomplish this. So I have a lot of pieces of the puzzles that are missing for me to even start understanding, put in that road there. But that's actually the first step in your road, okay? Understanding how you fill your toolkit to get you where you want to go. So ask those questions. What don't you know? I don't know what does it mean to be a CEO. Or I don't know what does it mean to get there. I don't know who you even address and contact. And when you put those questions in place, you say, which is the most important question that I need to answer? It could be 1 or 3 questions. Don't get yourself to 20 because then you're going to lose it. And the next step you want to do is to see who can help me in that. And there is a very good analogy that talks about the board of directors. The board of directors, your personal board of directors, are the people around you that can exactly help you in those situations. And they could be people that work with you. They could be your mentors. They can be your sponsors. They could be your coach, right? Or they can be a consultant. They could be those folks around you, or even a friend or a parent, right? Depends on what it is. And you look at your board of directors and said, in order to answer those questions, who are the people that I need to meet? And I'm going to reach out for them. Sometimes I don't have that exactly in my immediate round. And I find LinkedIn is a great tool. And then I go and say, okay, who are the folks that I know that are in my first connection level that I can reach out to, and they'll be happy to have coffee. You'll be surprised how easy it is to say, hey, hello, we haven't seen each other for 4 years, but I really want to have a little bit of your time. I'd love to have some coffee and ask for your advice. People enjoy those type of connection, and that could be another way to start.
Absolutely, yes. And LinkedIn is wonderful. I love LinkedIn. And actually, even people that you're not connected in first degree, and you reach out and you ask for help, a lot of times they'll be happy. Like if you wanted an advice, not to try to sell them something, but one of the most annoying things that happens to me on LinkedIn is people want to connect with me and immediately try to sell me something. But if someone reach out and ask for help, a lot of times I will be willing to help, even if I don't know them.
Yeah. Giving them the time of day. Remember that you would want other people to give you the time of day, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I wanted also to ask you, let's say that I found my board of directors, I understand what the steps I need to make, or at least the immediate steps, the immediate bricks that I need to start stepping into. What are some strategies that you have to stay consistent and to continue pursuing that goal? What helps you stay on course?
So what help you go there is two things to my perspective. One is create accountability. And people can create accountability in different ways. Some people need to create accountability by having a person that holds them accountable. Okay, they need that, and a way to do so is either to find someone that is willing to be there, someone that worked with you. For example, when I started that voyage, a person that I met through one of my network, and we just got to get together, she said, I'm here for you. And I want to make sure we are meeting every month. And every month you're sharing what have you done, right? And you need to answer to me that you accomplished something in this month that we either discuss or haven't discussed it. That's not the point. The point is it was what you wanted to accomplish, and you have accountability. Sometimes accountability can be created by yourself. That's very efficient as well. I find creating some kind of a plan, a weekly plan, a monthly plan, usually a combination of those, writing it down and making sure that you are reviewing that either on a weekly basis or even a daily basis, depends on how you settle things. And then once a month, kind of do a retrospective, also create that level of accountability and keep you in sync and on what you really wanted to reach, and keep you honest. Did you really do that? And if you haven't, why? Like, what prevented you from getting there? Was it your laziness? Laziness is not really. Laziness is usually comes from, it's hard for you to get out of your comfort zone. So it's not that we are lazy. It's hard for us to get out of the comfort zone. So you need to be very honest with yourself. Oh, I haven't accomplished my goal this month because I wasn't able to move myself out of this comfort zone, and I wasn't bold enough. So what do I need to make sure that that happens next month? What would make me get there? For me, by the way, is setting things up. And once I create a commitment, regardless how uncomfortable it is, I'll make sure it happens. I'll make sure I'll be there and I'll perform the best that I can. So each person needs to understand what it is that make them do things, get them out of their comfort zone.
Absolutely. And about getting out of a comfort zone, I truly believe it is a muscle that needs constant training. So constantly try to do something that stretches you a little bit, being a little bit uncomfortable, right? Because every time I try to expand, I try to grow into a certain area, whatever that may be, right? I mean, the most obvious example is physical activity. If you go to the gym and you want to run faster or you want to lift heavier weight, then you have to train that muscle. Same thing if you want. For me, for example, networking is like a lot of times intimidating. So I say, okay, I have to go to this event and train that muscle of talking with strangers because I know it's important.
Completely with you. And I'll give you two examples from my life that talks about accomplishing goals. About 15 years ago, as I was moving through my early days of being a manager and then a director, my manager used to come to my room at work and say, hey, Ronit, we have this thing, this project. We need you to take it forward, and it's going to be requiring you handling things you've never done, scope that is larger than what you're doing. And every time he came to the room, I remember the butterflies in my tummy. It's scary. It's like, I haven't done that. This is me and another 5 people or 10 people I would manage, or this is a technology field that I've not done, or this is communication with customers that I've not done at that time. And every time I remember that, regardless of how high was that feeling in my tummy, I said yes. And because I said yes, he came back again and again and again. And this is how I got my first promotion to the director, because I never said no. Every challenge he put in front of me, I said yes, and I moved forward, and I've done it, and I committed to it. Even before I could really assess what does it mean, I knew it would be to stretch myself out, and it created already those butterflies. Stretching you out a lot of times is connected to a feeling, a physical feeling that you have. Butterfly in your tummy, some stress, anxiety, all of that comes up when you stress yourself out. And it's fine. It's embracing that and knowing that if that's how you feel, you're moving, you're growing, and that's good.
Absolutely. So you also gave our audience tips about how to get promoted. Regularly say yes, right? Say yes to challenges, stretch yourself. And yes, there is some stress involved, but I just want to emphasize you want to have a good amount of stress and not stress yourself too much. And for me, like if I'm feeling overstressed, it affects my sleep a lot of times. I don't sleep very well. So it's important to pay attention to not overstress yourself also. You want to stretch yourself a little bit every time. And yes, go ahead.
I think it depends on yourself as a person. Some folks like to bungee jump, skydive, go heli skiing, right? They like to stretch themselves a lot. Some people, even the notion of going to a social event can make them very anxious. So you need to figure out what's your stress level, right? How much you can push yourself without breaking. Don't break yourself. That's not the goal. Don't cause yourself to have sleepless night, countless sleepless night. If you have one, that's fine. But if you're starting to have a very unhealthy balance, that's not great. Find where you are.
Yeah. And absolutely. It's obviously, it's a scale that is specifically related to each individual, and you know yourself the best, right? So you know when it's too much and where it's a good amount of stress and stretch for you.
Right.
And I wanted also to touch a little bit about the goals. How do you balance between something that is ambitious but not too ambitious and still realistic? So you want obviously to stretch yourself a little bit every time. How do you kind of find the right balance?
So go back to that kind of definition of SMART goals. There is an element when we think about something that we fantasize on it. And this has become like a fantasy or a wish. A wish is not a goal. A wish is more magical in a sense. It's untangible in a sense. If you want to make a wish a goal, you need to roll it back and say, okay, how I need to define something that I can accomplish. Okay. Let's say I want to go to the North Pole. By the way, my brother, who is a professor for climate, is now on his direction to the northern part of Canada. That they're doing a research for the North Pole. So you can define that if you are a professor for climate, and you can define what do you need for your expedition, who are the people you need to join, how do you get funding. It's tangible. But if I'll define I want to get to reach the North Pole, that's a wish. I can't get there. Like non-tangible for me. There is no way that maybe if I'll put years of effort into this, I'll get there. But is it really what I want to do? So going back to those SMART goals, make sure that you convert that wish to that tangible element that can be defined, that can be measured, that can be time bound, that can be accomplished, and now go and run and accomplish it.
Great. And based on your experience, what is a good kind of time bound, approximately?
Yeah, it depends what kind of goals you are. If you're looking at your career development, usually I would go and define something between half a year and a year. Okay. But if you're looking at more smaller parts, like let's say you want to be able to join a network of like-minded software developers, okay, and you've never been in a social gathering like that. If that's your goal, that's more tangible. That could be even a goal that we set on a monthly basis. However, even in the big ones, I want to get promoted. I want to change my career. I want to be able to get a new level of education. I want to develop myself in a variety of ways. Even if you have set those goals to half a year or a year, you need to make sure that you do have those bricks, and those bricks should be monthly.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's great. And I wanted to ask you also, how do you overcome setbacks, challenges? I mean, you're trying to set those bricks and walk from one small goal to another. how do you overcome, things that are not working out, right? I mean, not everything works out as planned.
Of course. No. Usually not everything. I love the agile methodology of retrospective because retrospective help you to, when things go wrong, you tend to dwell in the gloomy side of them, right? And that gloominess kind of dig a hole in the ground for you that is harder for you to get yourself out. When you move it to a method and say, okay, I'm now going to do a retrospective and understand, okay, what is working, what is not working, and what do I need to do, then you make this a more practical problem. Okay, I decided that I want to submit for a 3 search firm, but I'm 2 weeks forward. That was my time limit for that goal. But I actually were always only able to reach one, and I couldn't get any. So let's do a retrospective and say, what have I done that was really working? Maybe some of the techniques that I used, the people that I met, maybe the search that I've done was partially good. But then what didn't work? And maybe I wasn't able to actually understand which one should I reach. Maybe I reached companies that are not necessarily such looking for startup ones, but actually looking for more post-IPO ones, and I should redirect my search. So by doing that retrospective and looking at what's working and not working, I move this to action. I move it to what do I need to do next versus I dwell in this. That's so bummer. Maybe I'm not good at it. Maybe I should just drop the goal. By the way, you can drop the goal if after doing that, you actually make an assessment and say, hey, you know what? I actually don't want that. I think that goal would not actually get me to where I want to go to that position, but a better goal would actually to now meet some CEOs in companies. And how can I use my network to go there? So it's fine to change goals. You don't need to hold in them, for life. Let them go if they're not the right one.
Yeah. So being agile, being able to adapt and change course if you need to, and learn, right, of what is working for you and what is not working. You don't need to continue doing things that are not providing any progress.
Constantly. You have to constantly learn. Again, moving forward and learning. That's otherwise, again, you'll drift back.
Yeah. And you mentioned an important point that I think that many people are facing, especially women in tech, about kind of seeing ourselves, if something doesn't work, as, oh, I'm not good enough. So how do you think women, or not just women, but in general, people can overcome those setbacks? How important is it to get support, and what kind of support you can get so you don't beat yourself up and think, I'm not good enough because I haven't been able to succeed?
Completely. We are social creatures. Most of us, or the majority of humanity are social creatures. And we do, when we get support from our environment, it does help us to lift our spirit high, right? And I'll give you a fun example I'm playing a game called Catchball. And we had a practice a week ago, and I came to my friend and I said, I was so bad. I couldn't do anything. Every ball that I throw was caught by somebody else. And every hit, first hit that I threw was like the disaster. And she said, oh no, when I looked at you from the side, I saw that you were actually very fearless, and you were throwing balls very hard. And yes, some of them were caught, but your technique was very good. And you should think about like how you fixed this and this, but that part was really good. And she put me in the right perspective. Okay, we tend to wear those pink glasses or gray glasses, depends on how we want to see the universe, and that does not reflect reality. And sometimes getting an opinion from the side and kind of consulting with a friend, a colleague, somebody that is watching us or know us, our board of director again, help us put us in the right place in reality, and does that reality check for us. It's harder. You need to be much, much stronger and with much more resilience to put yourself out. But again, you can do that as well. And the way to do it is a lot of time I like to use writing as the technique. Write down how are you feeling? Write down what does it mean about you? How do you see yourself? And then write the good thing about you, write about the situation. And again, those writing helps a lot with that reality check. So if you don't have a good friend or a mentor or coach, do that writing exercise and look at how do you feel? Be there for a minute with your feeling. Then what is reality? Write it down. And then what is working? Right? Write it down. And you're starting to create those circles that dig yourself out of that gloomy feeling.
That's great. Yeah. And definitely get an external perspective as much as possible. And it's always possible to get someone to give you some feedback, right? I mean, it can be even a colleague, a friend, someone you know, or someone professional, right? Any last tips you would like to give people who are listening, especially women at the beginning of their careers, how they can set goals and move forward and progress in their careers?
Yeah. Flow is great. We love flowing in our life. It creates happiness, that's for sure. But you want to combine with that flow and this I'm kind of gliding and surfing in my life, regular times to think about what is really important for you. What do you want to reach? And start putting that in place. Start putting those goals. Don't wait for a new year to start, to put those goals and then park them afterward. Create a cadence for yourself. A monthly checkpoint, quarterly checkpoint. Don't take it further than that. Okay, what happened, in the back, and what do I really want to reach? And if you have no idea, sometimes we have no idea what we want to do, pick something small. Might seem like, oh, this is just a small thing, but the fact that you're exercising this ability to set goals and accomplishing them create not just this habit of assessing, doing that agile thinking about our life, but also the habit of, wow, I can really accomplish things. I have this in me, and when I set my mind to it, I can get it done. And I love that, setting your mind to it. When I was in my early 20s, I was working in a team of recreation guides. We did tours and nature travel. And one of the things that left a very strong mark on myself was that group told me that, okay, whenever we need something, we come to you because we know you can reach it. And that confidence that you get from others that you can reach that goal, or the confidence that you build in yourself that you can reach any goal you want, is a huge and powerful tool. So take it and start growing this tool within yourself.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much, Ronit. And how can people find more about you? What's the best way to connect with you?
I'm a LinkedIn fan, so LinkedIn is the best way to connect, and I'm more than excited and happy to help people and see how can I help them get to where they want to go.
That's wonderful. And I'll put your LinkedIn URL, obviously. Thank you so much for being here today. It was great. Thank you.
Thank you more for kind of inviting me in. This was a pleasure being with you.
Thank you for listening to another episode of From a Woman to a Leader. This is your host, Limor Bergman-Gross, and I want to encourage you to reach out to me on LinkedIn, Limor Bergman, and let me know, what do you think about the episodes? Feel free also to comment on Apple Podcasts and tell me, what do you want me to talk about? Which guests do you want me to bring? I really appreciate that, and have a wonderful day.